Today, the Michigan education workforce and 5 state universities, including Michigan State, held a media roundtable to talk about a new program. It's designed to help current and soon-to-be teachers be prepared inside the classroom. The program will introduce new high-scale models that will establish stronger partnerships between educators and preparation programs. It's in an effort to build up local school districts by strengthening the state's education pipeline by evolving to meet the needs of today's students and schools. Becca Tisdale talked about how the program will work.
Each of the participating EPPs will go through a really extensive vision setting and deep dive diagnostic review that is very data-based and focused. They'll use that data then to create a strategic plan that is very specific to their institution.
Along with Michigan State, the other universities participating in the program include Northern Michigan, Western Michigan, Central Michigan, and Eastern Michigan.